Welcome back, my dark minions, to the Dark Void, ruled by me, now 51. And today we're back to another random reactions. And today we're watching gameranx's 10 games matches that are probably finished. Yeah, probably finished, of course. Yeah. Oh, if you didn't know, if you've been through the year 2025, just let you know, I had to re-record this because somebody came in the room. Thankfully, it was the beginning video, so I was able to do this. But either way, do it again. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the whole shebang. Either way, we're back on topic, and basically, yeah, if you've been in the year of 2024, or yeah, there's a lot of games that have been kind of now been starting to die out because videotic companies thinking they know what's best, which I have no idea why they think like that. We know what's best. It's just they don't want to. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to be watching this video. We're going to see what games are on here. I'm going to try not to pause through this video because there are probably some other games that I want to take my 2 cents in. But who knows? Probably. Either way, it doesn't matter. We're going to see here. We're going to see what's going to happen. And also, if you want to hear this video without my beautiful voice, I'll leave the link down below so you can go watch yourselves. Let's begin. Let's go watch. Let's see what the 10 videos are.
Everything that has a beginning has an end. It's a phrase that is, to say the very least, uncomfortable. However, it is nonetheless true, and, well, electronic entertainment series are no different. Hi, folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 game franchises that are probably finished. Now, I just want to go ahead and say, sometimes we talk about this kind of stuff, and immediately after, a new entry in the series or a remaster or something gets announced. The one in recent memory to me was saying, why don't they remaster Soul Reaver? It just seems like they're never going to do it, though. And then, like 3 days after the video came out, they announced they had remastered Soul Reaver, and it's like, oh, they have. So give us a little slack if anything like that happens. If anything, let's just count it as part of willing it into existence. I mean, if the franchises are good. There's some pretty serious clunkers on this list, so without any further ado, let's start off with one of those. Number 10, Saints Row.
This game,
as one of the last remaining alternatives to Grand Theft Auto, there was a lot of expectation put on the Saints Row reboot, and
everyone said
not good, particularly on launch day. But I mean, once they had fixed some pretty big problems,
it still sucked.
No, like, the game was a buggy mess at the start.
Yeah, but it just,
however, was also boring. The story was flat and unfunny, and it's just an all-around disappointment.
It didn't do anything.
It really sucks.
People were saying,
because this
who
is
is this
Volition
for?
we're talking about here. These guys have done
people were
amazing
saying,
work
who is
in
this
the
game
past.
for?
Like, see the other Saints Row.
Nobody.
Red Faction Guerrilla, which remains one of my favorites. To this very day,
game was like
failed
so
to meet
bad.
any of the sales expectations set for it, and when Embracer's hopes and dreams died with the promise of massive investment failing, so did Volition. Embracer still owns the rights to the series, but without the developer who made the series, there's not a lot of hope of there being a sequel. The reboot was just too big of a flop to ignore, and in general, it seems like the industry is moving away from open world games. Devs still love open worlds, but for some reason, it's probably that Grand Theft Auto just does everything better for the most part.
Well,
but Grand Theft Auto is the only one. I mean, even the new Mafia game isn't a traditional GTA-style game. It's set in Sicily in the 1900s, which makes it a little closer to Red Dead Redemption than...
I heard that.
And it's going to be a linear story with no real open-world elements. So the last crime game standing is still not trying to step on GTA's toes. With the good Saints Row games, it was nice to have an alternative.
Like, look at this.
Game where you could drive around.
You get to do what the freak you want.
Bad guy, but it was a little more whimsical.
You can do what the freak you wanted, but no funny.
It was kind of making fun of
idiotic
what
things.
It was while being what it was, which is enjoyable.
Yeah,
and they were definitely a product of their time.
Oh man, I mean, you can literally run around with a big schlong.
There was some potential
smack people in the face with it.
They didn't do it enough or something.
This one,
they could have gotten things back on track with the reboot of the reboot, but it was too late. Even if Embracer hadn't completely killed Volition, it was fairly likely there wasn't going to be any more games. At least not
this
for
game
a long
was
time.
not for nobody.
With the devs gone and the franchise rights held by what is
I'm not going to say it, but let's just say
no one's going to buy the rights to Saints Row in this year
for no reason.
So that's not happening. The franchise is.
I'm not saying anything else after that.
And number 9 is Dead Space.
What?
This one stings because the 2023 remake was absolutely excellent.
Yeah, what the heck?
Other than the third.
Oh,
it's
right.
an extremely high quality franchise.
The third game,
is that EA just expected too much out of it.
Oh, really?
They were a record-breaking box office hit when these games were always kind of niche to an extent.
Yeah.
They were never going to hit Resident Evil sales numbers.
Yeah, it's just a niche.
EA was marketing them. The franchise, I mean, it died once after the relative failure of Dead Space 3. which sold pretty
Sorry
well,
that
but not good enough
ad
for
happened
EA, and in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, the
For EA,
the
nothing's
game
good enough.
also alienated the fan base a lot. But the
Oh, yeah.
final nail in the coffin was in Visceral Games, the dev behind all 3 Dead Space games, was closed in 2017. For a while, that was just the end of it, at least until the Dead Space remake, which managed to revitalize hope on a potential
Yeah.
continuation of the
I
series.
like
Or
these
at
games.
least a remake of
There
the
needs to
sequel,
be
but that
more-
also didn't happen.
Ooh.
Even though it was great, the game stopped getting updates almost as soon as it launched. And
Are
EA
you serious?
said there were no plans to make a Dead Space 2 remake, even though the game had multiple Easter eggs and even a new ending meant to tie in with Dead Space 2.
Man,
so obviously
EA
the
really is
developers
dropping the
wanted
ball
to
here.
remake the sequel as well, but EA had other ideas.
Because they're an
Once
A-
again, the
freaking
problem with
AO
sales,
company.
The game sold over 1 million copies.
And I'll stand by
Once
that.
again, EA expected more. So the series returned to hibernation, and, well, that sucks a lot.
Who knows
Maybe
how long.
In another 10 years, someone else will come around and remake Dead Space 2.
Dude, we still needs to
First
make a
one for
new
the third time?
a
I don't
game
know.
that basically
They'll get all of
looks
our
like
hopes
Dead
up,
Space.
and then EA will just put the series back in the box again. I don't know. What I would like to see is a remake
Unless
of the
they
second
sue
one,
them.
and then like a reimagining of the third one. But
Yeah, that
that
new
would
one
cause
needs
an
to-
escalating amount of money, and clearly
Whew.
it does not sell in the way that EA wants it to sell. Now you do have to think about the fact that this game came out with a price of $60, and it sold over 1 million copies.
Yeah.
Most of it was in the first
But
couple of
for
weeks,
to
so
EA,
it was
no,
mostly
it's not
a full
enough.
price.
They
I find it
want-
very hard to believe
but they
it was
want,
a $60
in the words of
million
AJ,
production
Angry
budget.
Joe,
It's a remake of a
buku
game,
money.
although they did do a lot. It's never as much as making a new
Yeah.
game. You have assets to start from, a story to come from.
They wanted
And while they did
every
change
money on the
some things,
planet.
expanded on things, tied them in better with the sequel. That's not the kind of work that's creating a story wholesale or a
Such
world
a shame.
wholesale. There's no concept art.
I like
stage,
these. I
at
may have
least
free
not
afraid of
in
horror
the
games,
same kind of way.
but
for
this
all
kind of
intents and
thing
purposes, it's much smaller.
it would be
project,
pretty good.
despite the fact the game does look immaculate. I don't know. I'm a little thorny about that one because, in all seriousness, there's no reason not to continue it. Part of the reason these games don't sell as well as EA wants them to is they never really got momentum. They weren't really releasing Dead Space on a schedule. You weren't expecting the next one to
Because
come out.
EA
You just
doesn't
waited.
give an F.
If they had followed through on remakes, they could have built momentum. But yeah,
But they didn't give it.
I'm a
They
bit
didn't get
miffed.
it.
And number
They didn't
8
give
is
it an
Deus Ex.
Oh.
Like Dead Space, this is another highly acclaimed.
Yeah, this
series.
game-
has been put through the cancellation ringer.
I
more
heard
than
this
once.
game.
There is, of course, the year 2000 classic that started it all, which was
Yeah.
followed up with the highly flawed Deus Ex Invisible
Ooh.
War in 2003, which got mixed reviews, not so great.
Didn't they have a
For long
recent
time,
one?
That was the end of it. And then in 2011, the series
Oh, this
was
one.
revived with Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is created by Eidos and published by
Oh, yeah, this was
Square
actually a pretty
Enix.
good game.
That game totally
its
revitalized
own
the franchise.
thing.
It was a big hit. Future looked bright, and Square got greedy. Mankind divided.
Oh, yeah, that's right now.
Sorry, microtransactions.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one, yeah.
Essentially made the developers cut the game in half, leaving what should have been an even better follow-up to Human Revolution to be seriously compromised. The game
Yeah.
ended on an inconclusive cliffhanger that was obviously meant to be the setup for the next game or the second half
But
of
no
this
one
game.
wanted it.
But as usual, all the executive meddling damaged the overall sales prospects
Man,
of the game.
seriously.
And it didn't hit Square's notoriously high sales goals. Square pretty bad about that. Like
Yeah.
they can profit to the tune of tens of millions of dollars.
But
and-
they
well,
want
that's
everything.
all the Eidos properties.
They want everything.
And for a while, it seemed like we were actually going to get a sequel to Mankind Divided, the one we truly should have. But of course, you already know what happened next. Embracer's deal with Savvy Games Group didn't happen, and the bloodbath started. Eidos Montreal was one of the lucky few who managed to survive, but the plans for Deus Ex, the sequel for that, it's dead. Now they're
Aye.
supporting Microsoft on Fable and
How is it even working now?
capacity, and
Fable
the entire
on
future
what?
of the studio is still in limbo.
With an ugly
Maybe they'll bounce back,
protagonist.
as long as
I said
Embracer
it.
owns Deus Ex, the franchise is essentially done because these guys aren't going to.
I said
allow
it.
them to work
I'm
on
not taking-
anything
I'm not
even
gonna take it
remotely
back.
risky. They do not.
What do you think
have
I'm playing
the money
of
for a failure.
all rivals right now?
And
Sorry,
number
Nat.
7
Now, as I was
is
saying-
Banjo Kazooie.
Oh, well,
these games are
ugh.
old as hell at this point.
Yeah,
but
as I was
if you
saying, yeah,
remember
that's
the
why I'm
gaming
playing
community,
Marvel's
you've been hearing
Rivals.
calls for a proper sequel a very long time.
Yeah.
Banjo Tooie came out 25 years ago, and people still not just want but demand another one.
We had
These
another
games
one,
came out
but-
back when Rare was in its prime on the Nintendo 64.
There's a shark in the water.
Defining games like it was nothing. They were on fire during this period, and to be fair, it's not like they're failing these days. They had a big hit with Sea of Thieves, but they were failing for a while. And Sea of Thieves isn't really something the old school
Yeah.
fans of the studio want. They also didn't want Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, a
Yeah.
weird car building spin-off that nobody would really have anything against if a third game did come out at some
Heh.
point. I mean, in a lot of ways, you could credit Nuts and Bolts for a lot of the ideas that were followed through onto perfection in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
But, we never got that sequel, and a lot of people hold a lot of resentment against that game, I think, is probably the best way to put it. I mean, at this point, it's probably just not going to happen. Most of the people responsible for the original games have moved on from Rare. Even
Banjo-Kazooie
has absolutely no hope for
pretty good game.
There really isn't an audience for these kinds of games anymore. Nobody's really making the mascot platformer collectathon games anymore.
It's
and
true.
It's because they're pretty niche at this point.
And nobody cares about the mascots right now.
Kind of flies in the face of that. In my opinion, it's more the exception that proves the rule.
Exception
to
the
great
rule.
game, but at the same time,
because
it was shocking it did as well as it did. That's a genre from a bygone era.
I want mascots,
but necessarily right saying there's no audience for it at all. I mean, look at how often it gets.
I mean, I want a freaking a mascots game. It's just that some game companies don't know how to use them.
That Rare is not going to.
Nowadays, mascot games are not
to the project.
made
it's
well.
Been too long. And at this point, it's obvious that Microsoft isn't interested in reviving old IPs just to bring them back. So unless the rights get sold off to a middle grade publisher for peanuts, there's probably never going to be
so much gold right now.
3E. Maybe a fan
hiding back there,
but a real official continuation probably is just not going to happen.
Man, so much gold.
Watch Dogs. For as much as people complain about the original Watch Dogs, it did actually end up selling a lot.
It was a good game to a certain point.
It was also a big step up.
The sequel?
So we all had high hopes for the third game, which ended up being weird. Not bad, but not necessarily what we wanted. Watch Dogs Legion is a game with a really interesting idea, but
I heard about it, but not as much.
Compelling gameplay, or at least it didn't here, anyways. Being able to play as anyone is a cool idea. But
yes.
They didn't do enough with it. Maybe couldn't do enough with it. And the feature ended up limiting the final game rather than expanding it. Sales were not what Ubisoft wanted, and that's the last we ever heard about the series. Apparently, there was potentially going to be a Watch Dogs Battle Royale game.
No one wanted that.
Was canceled. And
because nobody wants a Battle Royale.
And with
Battle Royales are way too much right now.
Put on ice for the foreseeable future. There could have been a chance for another game down the line, but that was before Ubisoft's current troubles. Everything's kind of
Ubisoft.
Assassin's Creed.
I swear that game's not going to survive that long.
That they only really.
I'm going to tell you this now. It's not going to sell as much as they wanted.
I seriously doubt Ubisoft is going to greenlight anything other than
things
they consider to be surefire.
It's not
and that's
going to sell
to survive
as much as they wanted.
Intact. If Ubisoft gets bought out or goes bankrupt, or Watch Dogs as an IP is probably gone.
Yeah.
Or who knows? Maybe the Watch Dogs movie will be a critical and commercial.
There's a movie?
It'll reverse the fortunes of the IP. I don't know. Let's check out the
director
director on IMDb. I've never heard of. That's probably not going to happen, guys. And number 5 is The Evil Within. While the first Evil Within game had a lot of cool imagery and ideas, the sequel is where the potential of the franchise really began to show. Evil Within 2 is a great game, up there with some of the best horror games.
With multi-headed waifu in it.
Blockbuster smash hit. It sold.
I think this one with multi-headed waifu.
The series still had a future. However, the developers, Tango Gameworks, got unceremoniously shut down.
What?
They made a game that was a legitimate hit. Hi-Fi.
Oh yes.
A game that was cheap to make.
It's the company's still up and running, but still
sold a great deal. But that wasn't enough to save them because Microsoft just felt that Tango wasn't a good.
This was their only game company that could have got them in Japan. Just let people know.
Under the Bethesda umbrella, and I think they just wanted to get rid of them. It sucks they got canned, but for a brief shining moment, it seemed like Evil Within would get saved. When Korean publisher Crafton miraculously saved Tango.
Thankfully.
The Hi-Fi Rush IP. That's the only Tango IP they got, unfortunately.
Don't worry, if they know what they're doing.
Tokyo and Evil Within. So that's that.
Unless
Microsoft wants to do anything with them, which I seriously doubt. Both franchises are over. Like maybe there's a tiny chance Tango will work with Microsoft again to make another Evil Within. Sort of like how Toys for Bob went independent and then immediately turned and made a deal with Xbox.
What the heck?
I don't know. I kind of doubt it though. I imagine Tango will stick with their own IPs.
Yeah, I think this is a good game going.
With nobody left in Microsoft.
If they make another sequel,
conceivably do anything with Evil Within. I think it's safe to say the franchise is dead.
I'm hoping. Sorry, another ad.
That is Shenmue. This one is a tough pill to swallow.
Man,
I was one of the original Shen maniacs.
Okay, sorry, I gotta say there was an ad there, but yeah, hopefully that they do make a sequel to that Hi-Fi Rush game, or at least kind of like Hi-Fi Rush, because I do think that company has a great future. And if it does become a big company on its own right, man, we'll be spitting in the face of Microsoft. And if they do become big in Japan, which I think isn't this company based in Japan? I don't know, but if this becomes big in Japan, my God, will it be like the biggest, the middle finger to them. I'm just saying. Trust me. Microsoft could have made a big mistake here. I'm just saying, who knows? But that's in the future. Right now, let's get on.
I thought
Shenmue
was such an innovative and incredible game. But if there's one big takeaway from the Shenmue saga, I think it's that game devs should never plan for a massive multi-part franchise.
Are you serious?
Xeno Saga was supposed to be 6 games. The recent Unknown 9 was meant to be an entire franchise. The Darksiders games still have not delivered on that cliffhanger ending of the first game.
Yeah.
Wait,
they actually said that
could easily be a franchise that we put on this list, but I think there's enough hope left for.
Didn't they say that they stopped?
Shenmue, though there is not very much hope.
Didn't they say that they stopped doing the Full Horseman Saga?
There was a bit of false hope from the news that publisher Inen obtained the rights to Shenmue 3, but let's be clear here: these guys don't have the spending power to make a Shenmue 4.
Yeah, didn't they have a Patreon thing?
Arcade game
at one point.
Some very basic HD remasters.
Wasn't there like a remake of Shenmue
maybe
that didn't do so well?
Switch port at some point. But that's about it. And that was a lot of fan expectation for Shenmue 3. And depending on who you asked, it failed in almost every possible way. The plot didn't advance. That's, I think, probably the most glaring of its issues. The combat, however, was also pretty clunky. And I'm not going to lie, it did succeed in capturing the charm of the original games. That does deserve credit, but that's basically the only thing it succeeded at. Nostalgia just isn't enough to be what is supposed to be a cutting-edge franchise like Shenmue going. The original game was groundbreaking, like I said, in many, many ways, but the game's never really managed to reach a wide enough audience, and Shenmue 3, I mean, that wasn't going to turn the ship around. There was a chance, even, that the story would finally get resolved, this time with a Netflix anime, but that got canceled before even the first season, so this franchise really just can't catch a break. Maybe someday Yu Suzuki will relent and just tell everyone what was supposed to happen, or write a manga and finish the story.
There's something needs to happen.
Are ever gonna get any closure at this point, but I don't know, who knows. And number 3 is Oddworld. You might not know it, but back on the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, Oddworld. Didn't they release
both
a new one?
Abe's Odyssey and its sequel, Abe's Exodus, sold more than 1 million copies each. They were standout games with cutting-edge graphics. They were brutally hard, but very creative, and they were fascinatingly weird and dark.
Yeah, didn't they do another cliffhanger?
After those first 2 games, the developers really struggled to make a follow-up with the middling Munch's Odyssey, and then inexplicably, an all-time great with Stranger's Wrath, one of the most unique and fun FPS games from that era. Unfortunately, that game did not sell well, and for a long time, it seemed like that was it for the series. Many planned follow-ups never materialized, and in 2014, fans of the series got a remake in 3D of the original game. It actually sold pretty well, but the more ambitious follow-up, a remake of the second game with new story elements and new mechanics, was a lot less positively received by both fans and critics. It took a big swing with Soulstorm, but it was not good enough, and with creators getting older and game development getting harder, it's unlikely we'll see another game from these guys again, and that sucks, because those games rule. And number 2, and this is again one that...
Sorry, I didn't have anything to say there. It's because...
Mirror's Edge. I mean, the first Mirror's Edge was absolutely...
Wait, there was a sequel to this thing?
Dice. It was one of the rare non-battle
like I said,
projects.
I didn't have anything to say on Soulstorm.
I know, it was the first-person parkour
game,
that just felt absolutely... play. Little light on content, but felt great. It's one of those classic first games in a franchise. It shows a lot of promise.
Did this have a sequel?
Expanded on in a sequel. And there's a real reason video game sequels tend to be some of the best games in a franchise. The first game is where they're testing things out, and the second is where they have the budget because they proved it works, and they refine it all, and they give you, like, the ultimate. Mirror's Edge was the setup for one of those kinds of stories. It was
supposed to be.
But they canceled the proposed sequel.
Are you serious?
Defiance, and instead, we ended up with a quasi-reboot called Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which got decent reviews, but wasn't embraced by fans. It didn't sell very well. Still, even after that...
So, basically just
cancel at least a chance of something happening. DICE put any hope of a follow-up by straight up saying they have...
Well, considering who their commander is...
From now on, they're basically a Battlefield studio. They said this before Battlefield 2042 came out, so yeah, maybe they should have given Mirror's Edge another shot, but...
Yeah, but unfortunately, who's their commander?
Anymore. Like,
EA.
Why not do something else? Maybe that's a little unfair, because it always sucks to hear big studios get trapped by their own success, making just one game for all eternity. DICE should be able to do something else once.
Yeah, but then again,
even if it's not some big
EA owns
success. There's a reason people still hold a candle for Mirror's Edge, while many have actually given up on Battlefield. They're both flawed in their own ways, but with Mirror's Edge, they were at least trying something different, and it was something different that worked. And at number 1, it's Dragon Age.
Yeah, it
might be a little too early to call. I don't know, but all the news coming out of EA,
it
hasn't been great regarding Dragon Age.
They even said, even the creator said that they're done with this.
Visiting their financial forecast because of 2 games.
This sucks so bad.
FC23.
Too much handholding. Too much annoying people repeating stuff.
Game again.
Way too much. And they made them cartoony. It made the Darkspawn cartoony. Now I gotta give my 2 cents here, so I'm gonna pause this for a bit. But the Darkspawn are cartoony. What the heck were they trying to do here? What in the words of Angry Joe, they Disneyfied this thing. I mean, wanted to name everything. Made everything... It's just a pain in the butt. Look, I do not care what happens. My brain... But it's just... This game is so bad. So bad. Difficulty is just you spongy enemies. And you're fighting a horde. Basically, there's too much hand-holding. Which I don't mind hand-holding. But don't basically put it like every single... Make it through the entire game. I don't mind if you put it in the beginning, oh, like, here you go, here it is, and then after that, here you go, okay, kick them out the door, and then, okay, here you go, we done everything you can, now go out there, do it yourself. Yeah, like, I play games where they literally have it in the beginning, like, in the first few, like, in the first 1 or 2 levels, and then after that, okay, that's about it, get out there, do what you want, you learn everything here, if you haven't paid attention, go read the book in your... Go reading the book in your history thing or something in the tutorial thing in your menu, and then there you go. Be done with it. Move on. That's the end of the day. This game, oh my god, I heard so many. Algernon and Gilganag, Algernon, Gilganag, Algernon, Gilganag, Algernon, Algernon, Gilganag, Gilganag. Oh my god. If you haven't watched Angry Joe's video review on that, just go watch it. You just need to watch the first part of the video, and it's just... Your brain would just be rotting. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this game... And also, this is my favorite game. I played the first game. I didn't play the sequel. I heard a little bit of things on that. And then I played the third game. The third game had its own problems, but at least it's better than this trash. And also, seriously, there's so much hope. Plus, I'm sorry. Just when you mess up this badly, I just want... You know what? Heck with this. Just let it be. Unless... Sorry, my brain is like, right, it's just about to start fuming. Unless they come back this and like let this guy, and we both know who EA is, the commander of this. Let EA just let this happen. Just don't effing care. Just let them do their stuff. Yeah. Also, plus this was supposed to be an MMO, if I remember. So yeah, if you think why it's trash right now, it's because of that. You can't do anything. Your characters suck so bad that you hate them. I mean, literally. This game was meant to be an MMO, and you can't even do anything. Anything. It was so bad that even the company said to IGN that you cannot talk about a certain section of the game, which, if you watch any person that played this game, you can easily tell what they're talking about. I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to deal with that stuff. But trust me, watch any content creator after this game came out, and you're going to see that, oh, so this is going to be talking about... Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, seriously, it's so bad that even the company said... I don't know who said it. EA or BioWare said that do not talk about this in this until it comes out or something. I don't know. It is so bad. They ruined this game. I like this game. I like the darkness of this game. I like the fact the first game you got a harem. Wait, actually, yeah, you did get a harem. If you played your cards right... In the first game, you can get both Liliana, Morgan, and if depending how you play, you can get also the Queen as well. Like, literally, I mean, no, I'm not joking. You get the Queen. Also, you want more, you can also have fun with a pirate. You just need to make sure certain characters are not in the party during that time. Trust me. Play the first game. Play the first game. Way better. And trust me, you can get... Trust me. If you can figure it out, you'll figure it out. Trust me, you get a harem in this game. In the first game. You just need to play your cards right. And it's still canon to the end of the story. It is still canon that they still talk to you the way. That they, in that way. It doesn't matter how you end it. They all end it in a certain way. Trust me, it is awesome. Oh my god, more games need to let you have multiple freaking spouses here because seriously, come on. Now back on topic, sorry. But in this game, it doesn't even give you a choice. You're basically either here this. Okay, there you go, we're done. It's just, this game is just trash. I don't need to play this game. I don't want to play this game. I already seen too many people reviewing this and it sucks so bad. It sucks so bad. No, and I'm not sorry about saying this. It sucks so bad. Like I said, hand-holding for like 2 levels are fine. After that, just tell me, just look it up in the tutorial in my menu and just kick me out the door. Done. Seriously, it's not that hard. When I mean 2 levels, I mean like short 2 levels, alright? Okay, that's my 2 cents. Continue on.
It was one of the more cohesive
Look at that thing.
Dragon Age games.
What is this thing?
While I don't know that the story necessarily
Look at this
satisfied
thing.
everybody, in a lot of ways the gameplay I think should have. It was very good gameplay at very least. However, they expected to sell 3 million copies.
Ha.
Selling less than half.
Oh,
of it.
really?
That's not necessarily a death sentence per se, but after the announcement,
Yeah.
the EA stocks kind of plummeted, marking one of the biggest drops in share price.
Also, they said that
along
they were
with
done.
that news, around the same time, Forward project director for the
Ooh.
Dragon Age series, Mark Dara, has said that the upcoming
Mass Effect 5
is still
Oh,
literally
man.
in pre-production.
That's right.
With most of BioWare's staff spread out working on other
Man.
projects for EA.
Mass Effect
that
5.
means we're looking at Mass Effect 5 coming out in 2030 or even
Ooh.
later. And by that point, who knows what kind of state EA and BioWare are going to be in.
And if whether or
At this
not
point,
they're
it's hard
still
say
trying to
Mass
do
Effect
some stuff
is
with it.
definitely going to happen, but it's way too early to call that. On January 24th, the Veilguard received its final update after
Yep.
just 5 months of
It-
support.
yeah,
And while
it
it,
was-
doesn't
it was
necessarily
done.
mean anything on its own, the final farewell at the end of the
Ugh.
message written in
I actually
Elvish
hope that
feels
this does
pretty
die.
ominous in this context.
I actually do hope
Now,
this-
some
this
people
game does
assumed
end.
Veilguard was going to be the last game of the series anyway, but
Yeah.
that's actually not. It does contain.
Yeah, I have to say, I say this now. This game has nothing to do with the last game. Even though the last game's DLC does have a freaking like an ending, it has nothing to do with this main game. The entire Inquisition game in the DLC, putting it up to this point, has nothing to do with this game. It literally has nothing to do with this game. Nothing to do with this game. Literally, go play that Inquisition, and if you want, get the DLC or just look up a video. Actually, just look up a video anyway, and you're gonna see that says something about the sequel, but this game has nothing to do with that. Yeah, it doesn't. Sorry, I'm putting like my 2 cents here, but I just let you know this game ruined it. And if it does get canceled, I would not be surprised because I like this game, but I'd rather have it die than let it keep getting destroyed every single time. Seriously, I'd rather see this die. I want this series to continue, but I don't want it to continue in the state it is in now. Let them go back to the original Dragon Age. In fact, reboot the entire series and go back to the first one where you're basically able to be like a basically do when you're like in that first game. Be like that. Like go back to that point. Like seriously. I'm sorry, my brain is not rotting right now. But yeah, right now I'd rather see this series die unless they go back and reboot it and make it so that it is like the Dragon Age, the first Dragon Age. But if they're not going to do that, then let's just let this franchise die. I do not want to see this. And Mass Effect 5, oh my god, I don't want to see what they're doing with that one. I am so terrified because of how they ended the third game and how they ended how they made Andromeda. Dear God, that sucks so bad. And also with Mass Effect 5, who knows what else is going to contain in that thing. Oh, that is... like I said, if Mass Effect is going to be like anything like Dragon Age Veilguard, then I'd rather have Mass Effect just die off than just disappear. Unless they reboot it and start over fresh. I don't know. Anyway, that's about it for my 2 cents, but still. My God.
In a secret sequel hook for what could be the final game in the series.
I highly
With all
doubt
the
it.
bad news coming out of EA and BioWare
And whether or
recently,
not they
it's
continue
starting to
on with
look
the
like
series.
Dragon Age is
I mean,
probably not happening. A lot of people are kind of happy about that because the game did end up being pretty controversial. In my opinion, it still kind of sucks to potentially yet another long-running franchise fail to get a proper conclusion. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but for now, it looks like Dragon Age as a franchise it's finished. And unfortunately, so is this video.
Yeah.
That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great...
Okay, let me just pause that out. Okay, let me just pause. This is about to be the end. And plus, I do not want to have another ad on the video. Another ad popping out of nowhere. But yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. That series is dead. I mean, like, there's so many franchises that have changed over the years for no apparent reason. And look, I'm saying this right now, that if these companies need to stop trying to do modern stuff, because I do not want to see, especially, I mean, that's also another thing. Dragon Age, Veilguard trying to make a game for the modern era. You didn't realize that this is a game in the medieval era? And, well, when I say medieval, I don't mean the fantasy, but this is based in the medieval era, where literally magic and monsters and everything appeared, which I do believe they existed back then. And yet you're trying to put modern stuff in here? That makes no sense. In fact, I'm surprised. In fact, I'm surprised. No, like historical accuracy people like when I say that are not upset. Or, I don't know. Probably let me know. Are anybody who is historically accurate upset about this game trying to put modern stuff in there? Because I know it's fantasy, but even then, even historical accurate people need to like get upset about this because literally this makes no sense. It's based in the medieval era where no one gave an F about what you do. In fact, if you were like that, you would literally be put to the fire. You would be literally be jailed, tortured, questioned, and everything else in between because that was literally an endable offense. Literally look up the medieval age, and literally you'll see so much stuff that if you literally do anything that's against anything in that era. Heck, if a noble says they don't like... Let me give you this. If a noble says they don't like you because they just don't like you, that is the end of you. I mean, seriously. Seriously, that is literally what is bad. I mean, seriously, think of that. And yet, this Velga was trying to do modern stuff. And I'm not going to say why I say modern stuff in this game. I don't know why they did that. Well, of course, because of agenda, because they think it'll make them money for some reason. But yeah, seriously, that is not... Seriously, that makes no freaking sense. Now, like I said, this is a fantasy game. I understand that. But also is basically inspired from the medieval age. Which Monsters and Dragons once existed. Yes, I do believe that. I hope they do exist. But either way, yes, this was based on the medieval age. And like I said, if you look up the medieval age, you will see nothing modern of that. Now, of course, there may be some exceptions. There are exceptions to that rule. But more than likely than not, it will end very bad. In fact, the way that they featured a level there, it would count as a magic spell in that time. And trust me, magic was not... People were very superstitious of magic back in the medieval days. If people thought you were a magical thing, yeah, it is not good. Trust me. Like I said, I know this Dragon Age Velga was a fantasy game, but it was inspired by the medievals stuff. It's medieval stuff. Like I said, anything in this game of Velgard would literally be paramount of you being ended in the medieval ages. Anything that happens in that game, just look up medieval ages and you'll understand what I mean. Like I said, trust me. Medieval ages were no joke. You do one thing wrong, and more than likely, you would be thrown to the... Let's just say losing your head, huh? Alright, that's about it. That's about it before anyone else gets upset at the fact that I'm saying anything out here. Either way, like I said, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video of this. What do you think about this? Do you agree that that all these games should be like have their sagas ended to be done, no more? Or do you think there may be some hope here? Or do you still have hope that maybe some of these games may return, or some of them may reboot themselves, or do you have hope they may return back to their old ways or something, or anything? Because literally, sorry, there's some noise in the background. That's just my other family member in the other room. His TV's like, I don't know why he puts it so loud. But like I said, yes, do you have any hope for these game franchises? Do you think that maybe there's some lights happening oh, sorry, something was thrown. So let's just say my younger sibling was crying over there. When I mean crying, he's losing in a game. When I say that, I mean, it's offline, but he really hates losing. I think we all have that kind of situation, don't we? As I was saying, back on topic. What was I saying? Yes, do you think there's any hope for these series? Do you think they may return? Do you think maybe it's time for them to just end it and just move on? Do you think maybe they should reboot them to start the entire story fresh and go back to what made those games popular? Or do you think maybe they should start fresh now and start doing the next the next saga like what they used to in the back in the day. Let me know in the comments what you think about this situation, and let me know what you think about these games. That literally, do you think there was other reasons why they died off, or do you think the gameranx explained it well here? Let me know in the comments. And also, what do you think? Did I miss any information? Do you think anything else as well, or do you think that's about it? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. For right now, hope you enjoyed today's video. Comment, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video. And also, I will leave a link down below for you guys. Also, to join my Dark Army, don't forget that, because you guys have no other choice. At this point, you need to do what I say. I mean, you should know this by now. You have no other choice but to do what I say. Alright? Got it? Alright, good. Also, like and share the video to help spread my influence around. Take that as you will. And don't forget to basically press the black bell button to be notified whenever my videos pop up, because you know how YouTube channel is. She does about to look like feature my video at all. But yeah, that's about it. And for right now, my dark minions dismissed!